the bench under the sycamore. It was the kind of morning that came wrapped in silence, autumn just brushing the edges of the sky, the trees painted in rust and gold. Thomas sat on the old wooden bench outside St. Mary's Hospice, wrapped in his coat, though he couldn't feel much cold anymore. The cancer had spread. There wasn't much more to say. Every morning he came to this bench, not because it offered hope, but because it offered sky and trees and something like quiet company. He liked watching the way the wind moved through the tall sycamore above, scattering its leaves in spirals, like prayers no one knew how to say aloud. He had said them once, prayers, long ago. He had spoken to God in his younger years, when his wife was still alive and life had been fuller. But over time the words had dried up. Life had chipped away at faith until all that remained was fatigue and a question. No one could answer why. He didn't expect anything today. Just the usual. The rustle of wind, the smell of damp earth, the ache in his bones. Then someone sat beside him. He didn't turn. People often sat there, volunteers, visitors, sometimes just nurses needing a moment of air. But this was different. The air shifted. Warmth, like sunlight through closed windows, settled into his chest. Not heat, just presence, familiar, steady, deep. "I see you," the voice said. It wasn't loud, but it rang inside him like a tuning fork. "Even when you don't speak." Thomas turned then. There was no one there. Not in the way you'd expect. No man, no angel with wings. Just the bench, just the tree, just the leaves falling in perfect silence. But something inside him broke, softly, like ice melting. Tears came, not because he was afraid, but because for the first time in years he didn't feel alone in the silence. He felt held, known, as if something vast and kind had placed a hand gently on his shoulder and said, "It's okay to let go. I've got you." And then the pain eased, not vanished but softened, like a storm passing behind a hill, like a burden lifted by invisible hands. He stayed there a long time, watching the leaves fall. When the nurse came to find him, he smiled up at her, his eyes still damp. "I think," he said, voice barely above a whisper, "I just remembered how to feel peace again." She didn't know what had happened, but she saw the change in him, the ease in his breathing, the gentleness in his face. That night Thomas slept without waking, not in fear, not in struggle, just peace.